Boom. Hey internet, wanted to bring this to the community and talk about it because it brings up a lot of different ideas that I've talked about in other videos or talked about in the past, but it's just something that's really interesting. So Payless shoe store did an experiment recently, and recent from the time that I'm shooting this, and I'm gonna upload it a little bit later, but you guys can open up a tab and look it up. For those of you who aren't in the US, Payless is a shoe store. For the most part, it does its own brand inside there. They've done a couple licensing deals and or collaborations. I'm not exactly sure how it works down, but sometimes when a brand trickles down, coming from kind of like Walmart, sometimes those brands will end up in Payless. It's sort of like the last round for that brand doing something considerable in retail. Again, for those of you not familiar, Payless is lower quality PUs and suede. It's lower quality footwear at a very low entry price point. Very inexpensive, but you know, if you look at what they offer from a design perspective in terms of the styling, you know, they have art directors and they have footwear designers and product designers in there as well that have to meet a really stringent set of specifications. So I actually give a lot of props to people who design within that tier. So you can compare it to the footwear offering and or design that's also at Walmart, because if you think of it, it's a mass offering all over the United States, but they are stringent in terms of what their end price point is going to be because they're known for price, right? So you're not going to go into Payless and definitely not be looking, I mean, I was gonna say Nikes, but they don't offer any other brands except those that I think are licensing deals in there. It's the only time I've seen other brands in there. In any case, the design in there is not the main thing that you're looking for, but on the other side, I think designers have a very interesting challenge in it. So that's sort of where it lies. Think Walmart. Think low price point. For any kind of sneakerhead, any kind of person that's forward about their footwear fashion, this is not a place where they might shop. And so they did an experiment where they set up retail in a very posh part of Los Angeles, and they invited a bunch of YouTubers and vloggers and influencers, whoever's on the list, and they basically merchandised it as a super high-end retail, but they put the same product in there, and I have a couple clips. Let me roll some for you.
We built a fake luxury store in Los Angeles and filled it with Payless shoes. The guests at our grand opening party had no idea.
They're elegant, sophisticated.
I just think it's so classy.
And I could tell it was made with high quality material.
These fashionistas actually paid $200, $400, and even $600 for Payless shoes. But you can get these same shoes at Payless for $19.99 or lower with our epic holiday deals. Why pay more when you can pay less?
So those are just a couple clips, and I'll put the link below to Payless's actual video. But this proves a point as if it wasn't proven in a couple different ways before, that positioning of your brand has a lot to do with marketing and branding and putting it to a place where mentally it's positioned not only in your eyes but realized in the eyes of a customer of what the actual perceived value of the brand, the company, and the product is. When I was in Hong Kong, the first time I went for production close to China was in Hong Kong, right? And then you can take the train into China from there, where I met with several different factories. So when I was producing denim, this was several years ago, but within the same factory that I saw the product I was working on was super premium brands. Super premium brand. Red Monkey, which was a super high-priced denim brand at the time. They definitely had like $500, $600 pairs of denim. Were done in the same factory where the opening price point for a lot of the items were like $80. You can find production from a lot of big labels done in the same factories because they do quality work. The difference on the other end is whatever label it is and the quantities that they can provide. Similar to that, like when I owned my high volume screen printing shop, we did stuff for a lot of brands that pay the same amount as a big and a small company, and they're giving us the same product. It's just different gigs that we're running for them. So this kind of says a couple things, and the reason I brought it to the community is I want to talk about it, but the number one thing I want to talk about is positioning. The way you position your brand and the products from your brand is going to have a lot to do with branding and how you position it in the mind of the consumer. A slew of those things come together to equal the way the perception is built in the mind of your consumer, right? So let me go with the obvious. When you think about Nike, what do you think about? And there's word affiliations, there's visual affiliations. Sometimes there's actually a feeling with it. And I'm just using that as an example. If Adidas is your favorite brand, or you have another brand in mind that's your absolute favorite, think about what you feel for the brand and know that marketing has a lot to do with that. That's putting out the right imagery and directing the right imagery. The way you put it out just into the atmosphere, the blogosphere, has a lot to do with what you can charge for an item. Why would you spend $100 on a t-shirt when the same type of t-shirt can be made at the same factory and put out for retail from another brand for $28? The answer is positioning. Payless put the same exact product into this very posh pop-up shop and they curated it differently, okay? So a lot of you guys that come to me and say, hey, what do you think of my brand? I'll say, hey, it's a good beginning. But know that if I take the same product sometimes, if I take the same product, put it in a different photo shoot and put different visuals to it, put some media and video to it, it can change the perception of the brand. That's on a very obvious and minute level. Well, at least for me when I'm looking at a brand, right? So whenever I take a project on, I look at the roots of the origins and where it's already at. And I'm always trying to figure out how we can elevate it, right? So when I'm putting the design together, part of me is thinking about how the product shoot might look and how the lifestyle shoot might look. And when you're placing it in the ecosystem of visuals, when it's going out as a final image towards the possible consumer. In any case, there's a million thoughts that I have that are kind of attached to this. It's also just kind of fun to see. It pokes fun and gives you a reality check in terms of our own perception. There's something in your closet right now, you love the brand, pay a lot of money for it. The actual cost of knowing how much it is to make is less relevant to you because of the way the brand is positioned in your mind. So think about that and how it applies to you and your brand if you're putting out a brand. Just wanted to definitely make a couple points about that. If you guys have any other questions, anything you want to add to the conversation, please drop it all down below. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.